Baby, you're a stitch man. Baby, you're a stitch man. Baby, you're a stitch man. Duh. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Hello, Flosstube. It's me, your old pal Stitchman, back again. So soon? Is it soon? I don't know. It feels soon to me because it's only been a few days since I posted my last video, and here I am again, but who knows when this one will get posted. Most of you seem to like this new way of doing things, little 5 or 10 minute segments, piece them all together. I like it. I like it because it's easier. No, that's not the only reason I like it. It's, I don't have to remember everything all at once. It doesn't feel like I'm sitting here forever. Sometimes I sit here for 2 or 3 hours just to get like half an hour's worth. Oh, like, not that it's not fun, but it's my whole day. I sit here for hours. I edit it right away. I get, it's my whole day. I can't spare a day. How many days could I possibly have left? So I figured I'd hop on here real quick. I've got a few things piled up to talk to you about already. Probably take me about 10 minutes, and then we'll move on. Do it another day, do it a few more times until I have 30 or 40 minutes worth, and that'll be that. Easy, simple, fun, right? What are we waiting for? Let's get going. First, can I rant about something real quick? We all love a good Stitchman rant, don't we? Not too much gets under my skin. Maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not self-aware. You might be thinking, Mike, what are you talking about? Everything gets under your skin. Yeah, maybe. But this one really irked me. And I didn't notice until about a week and a half later because, it was Christmas and I was kind of busy. But somebody over the Christmas holidays, I've got this chart here, which is not even titled anything obscene. It's called Brian's Holiday Greeting because my friend Brian, we sign our Christmas cards, Merry fucking Christmas, to each other. It's fun. It's funny. And I've had this in my Etsy shop for at least 2 years now. And many of you have bought it, and this was really popular at the markets over Christmas. I made up kits for this, and people were buying it. And we're all just out here to have a good time, right? All but one. Somebody came across this on Etsy over the holidays and reported it to Etsy as so outrageously offensive that we need the Etsy police to come knocking down my door and haul me away in handcuffs. Oh my goodness, the F word. And this was promptly removed by Etsy. And not because of the word fuck, because you're allowed to do, they try not to be too restrictive about art and censorship and stuff like that, unless it's really overtly hateful or violent or something like that, Merry fucking Christmas? Is that really that over the top? Is it? I don't know. I'm not. Did it offend somebody's religion? I'm not religious, so maybe, I don't know. So I didn't mean it that way. I was flabbergasted. You can buy the things that you can buy, and the phrases and the war paraphernalia and the things that you can find out there that are not going to be removed, and Merry fucking Christmas gets taken down. I couldn't, I'm still at a loss for words. And I do understand not liking it. This is not everybody. My mom doesn't like stuff like this. I jokingly offer to stitch my mom yippee-ki-yay motherfucker or Merry fucking Christmas for her Christmas decorations every year. My mom doesn't want stuff like this. She doesn't like stuff like this either. I understand not liking it, but to take the extra step to I don't like it, and now I'm gonna take some time out of my day to really this is what I need to do with my time right now. And there's nothing more important than to get on Etsy and make sure that nobody else's eyes are sullied by the sight of this demonry. Anyway, doing a little bit of dig deeping into the Etsy policies and whatnot, you are allowed to have stuff like this and curse words and stuff like that. It's just they prefer if you, in your main thumbnail image that people are going to come across when they search, to obscure it somehow. When you click on the description and you see more pictures of it or whatever, you can see it in all its fucking glory. But then the main image has to be obscured. Okay. So here you go. If you search for it now, you won't be so horrified and offended because I added a little snowflake for the snowflakes out there. Yes, I can be pretty pissy and bitchy about stuff like this too. A snowflake for the snowflakes. Are you happy now? So all is right with the world again. In case any of you were horrified at the sight of such a word, or if any of you were horrified that you wanted to buy it and couldn't, everything's good now. It's back. You can't see the word. All the demonry is obscured. You know which word it is. There's enough of the word showing that you know what it is and you can say it in your own head, but your eyes don't have to see it. So I guess we're all good now, right? and a very Merry fucking Christmas to you. All right, I'm good now. Good. We'll get to the thing. We'll get straight into it. Let's get straight to what I've been working on. I didn't start a new thing. I didn't start the happiness thing that I was talking about. I continued on with Sunflower Cottage, and here's where I am right now. Look at that. I just can't believe that I shelved this for so long, and I was afraid that I was never going to get back to it, and just in like less than 2 weeks. Has it even been 2 weeks yet? And I'm getting down to the bottom of the page. It's going pretty quick, and I'm loving it. I don't know. I can ramble about this for about 30 more seconds if you want, because I know there's a Jacob song to go along with this, and I'm sure you would all rather be listening to Jacob sing than listening to me talk. So I'll just fade myself out and keep rambling, and we can listen to Jacob sing about it instead. How's that? So I am going to continue. I still do want to start.
Sun is out and all is good, shines on our neighborhood and the sunflower cottage. Flowers reach toward the sky, love is in the air, and I don't know why I love the sunflower cottage. Oh, I love the sunflower cottage, but I don't know why.
Time comes and I'm just like, I don't know, but it's so pretty though, and I love these colors, and I love how happy it is, and I love how colorful it is, and it's making me happy. So I don't know. We'll see after I finish this if I want to move on or if I want to keep doing it. I'll do whatever I want to do, because that's what I do in 2025. I do whatever I want to do. Also, this isn't the only thing that I worked on. For one quick second in the night that the Golden Globes were on, I paused this and I stitched up a new really quick little design that I have of my own. I'll show you. I've been on kind of a design kick lately, and I went through my works in progress folder, and there's some good stuff in there that's half finished or partially finished or started, or there's seeds of good ideas in there. My work in progress or my junk folder is it's so much bigger than my actually finished folder. There's got to be some worthy stuff in there, don't you think? So I finished off a really, really, really small. I mean, it's not small. It's not complicated or a lot of stitches. This is called Hang In There, and it's how I've been feeling lately. This is for those times when life is just kicking you in the balls repeatedly, but you're trying with all your strength to just keep smiling. It's not working perfectly, but you're trying. And here it is right here, all stitched up. Isn't that something? There it is. I did this in one sitting without even getting up to pee. There's nothing to it. And sometimes it's fun to stitch it, just sit down and start something and finish it without even getting up. I know this is not I did this mainly for the people for upcoming when the market season starts up again. This is the type of thing that people who are kind of on the fence about stitching, or they used to do it and they maybe want to get back into it, or they know what it is and maybe they want to try it, but people aren't too willing to jump into something too complicated when they're kind of on the fence. But something like this that's only one color and 600 stitches, this is the kind of thing that they'll snatch up and just oh, I'll try that, and then I'll come back for more if I like that. So that's mainly why I did that. Not for you pros out there who are not wanting to stitch something so cute and simple. Although it is I'm a pro too, I stitch a lot of complicated things, but it is kind of satisfying sometimes to just sit down and do something, start it and finish it without even getting up. There is something quite satisfying about that. And I know what you're thinking to yourself. You're thinking, Stitch Man, if we get that and we want it to be like a yellow smiley face, we're going to have to fill that all in with yellow. And it's not going to be one sitting. That's actually a lot of stitches because we don't have any pretty yellow fabric to stitch it on. So what are we to do? Well, this is your lucky day. Your pretty yellow fabric is just a click away. Look at that. The old Stitch Man's got you covered. I gotta say, I love stitching on this yellow. I've stitched a couple of things on this now, and it's pretty and it's fun to work on, and things turn out nice. And you know, this does sell well, but not as well as, like, you know, still the ones that I call boring are not, I know they're not boring, but like I wouldn't, if I didn't like them, I wouldn't do them. But like, you know, like beige and gray and stuff like that, those ones still tend to sell better than the more vibrant, pretty ones, which, you know, I get, but also like give yellow a chance, or give something like the colorful ones are, you know, they're, you can do amazing things on something a little bit more colorful. Yellow is fun. And I've also been on, speaking of which, I've been on a bit of a dyeing kick lately, and I've been like, you know, I'm trying to keep myself occupied for a few months business wise before I get back into like busy market season. And so I've been designing, and I've been dyeing, and I've been like planning, and I've been building, and I've been doing all the things that I could possibly think to do. And I'm going beyond what I normally do, which is like generally 18 count and generally the same size cut is what I usually do. And everybody, like, it's been going well and you're all really happy with it, but I'm going to try to branch out a little bit. I've already got some 16 counts in my shop right now. I'm going to have more than that, and I'm going to have like different, not just Ada and like whatever I gotta expand a little bit. But I've also started doing different sizes, like, you know, different. I want variety, different sizes, different prices, different colors, different. I want some different stuff. So I've got a few up there already. This is generally the size that I have always been doing that you guys buy, and this, for comparison, is, hang on a second. There, I've got some of these now. And this is 16 count, and that's what I've got in my shop right now. Maybe I've got more by the time you are watching this, but you know, I'm trying to branch out a little bit, give you a little bit more variety, a little bit more, you know, some people buy these to stitch little things, and like hopefully you're using it for something else, but like not everybody needs a piece this size. Maybe you need something a little bit smaller and a little bit cheaper. I got you covered. So is that it for now? I think that might be it for now. Merry fucking Christmas. Yellow fabric, sunflower, we good? See you tomorrow or the next day or whenever I do something else. All right, see you then. Hello, friends. 3 seconds later or 3 days later, who knows? Got a couple quick things to show you before I move on to something else, and I already did move on to something else, so I better show you before I move on again. Here's the Sunflower Cottage. I did finish this whole strip here that I was working on, and I'm not going to say that I'm burned out on it, but I am ready to move on to something else for the time being. I'm still going to keep this in the easily accessible WIP pile. I've got 3 tiers of WIP piles going on behind me here. Maybe I'll get up and show you in a second. I'm gonna keep this one accessible. I'm not finished with it or burned out on it. I did move on to something else recently. And spoiler alert, it's not what you think it is. So here are my 3 levels of WIP that I've got going on here. This is where I sit to actually stitch. So very close to my little station here, I've got a shelf with all my full set of DMCs and whatever I think I'm going to be immediately working on. A little bag of some of my own stuff, Sunflower Cottage, and whatever I'm working on right at the moment is like right there ready for me to grab. And then over here in this top drawer, I've got like next level of like, you know, I'm not working on them right now, but I also don't want to have to dig too far for them. Like Jimmy Stewart, or just Alice in a Dolly Dream, or an old Jacob thing that I think I might want to be working on, and I want to know where it is and be able to get it. And then we've got this basket, and this basket is where Maple sleeps on top of this, and inside the basket is just a vortex of nonsense. Whatever's in there would really require some digging. See if I can open it and just like take a quick glance in there. Oh look, happiness got thrown into the vortex. Sorry about that. Who knows what's in there? But if I wanted to dig something out of there, that would require some digging. And it's usually stuff that I don't think that I want to dig for in the moment. So it just stays in the vortex. So remember, it was all happiness, happiness, happiness. I've got happiness. I want some happiness. And I've got this chart called happiness, and it's all ready to go. It's all kitted up. I had the fabric all cut. I had the first stitch all ready to go. So did I start that one? No, of course I didn't. I did not. Do you know, because I was flipping through some stuff. This was kind of just on a whim. It's like an impulse buy. I was right there. I was ready to start it. But I was like in line at the cash register, and I saw a chocolate bar, and I was like, ooh, I want that instead. It's basically what happened. So I was flipping through some stuff, just cleaning up some stuff, and I found this one, which I'm sure I've showed you before, but it's been sort of in my, like, near the top of my wish list to do for a while. And when I just flipped through it again, I was just like, you know what? There's your happiness. You know what real happiness is? Happiness is a kooky woman in high heels on a trapeze. Where can I find that? I found one. There you go. There's your happiness right there. I love this. I've always loved this, and I love this like style of artwork, and I love this style of woman. I've dated a few women that look just like this. So like, just because something is called happiness doesn't necessarily mean it's going to like invoke happiness, right? I think I would feel happy if I was sitting on my couch stitching and she was staring back at me. So just boom, just like that. I even appropriated the fabric that I had set aside for happiness. And I was like, you know what? Happiness, sorry, you're going back in the basket. And I'm starting the trapeze girl. And I did. I didn't get too far yet. I only did like a little bit of the top corner, but I'm into this right now. So for the next few days at least, I can't see myself working on anything else but this. Trapeze girl. Happiness. There's your happiness.
That's right. That's right.
A couple other quick things I wanted to tell you about. I was also digging through like some like just I'm cleaning up. I'm cleaning house here and trying to organize some stuff, and I realized that I only have of like, you know, the things that I'm a framer now, and I frame my own things now, and you know, I've had for the longest time this bag of finished things that's just sort of like, you know, I finish something and I roll it up and put it in a bag and hang it in my closet. That's not the case anymore. And I opened up that bag and looked in, and you know what? There's only one thing left in there. There's only one thing left that I have finished that I haven't framed yet, and it's this right here. Remember this? The old Jacob Fruits of Plenty. Who cares about that though? We'll just keep that one in the closet. No, I'm just kidding. I love this. This is like, we all love our Jacob, but like for me, this is Jacob's Lawrence of Arabia, or, you know, Apocalypse Now, or whatever your go-to epic is. This is, I've stitched several Jacob things. I've got one hanging on my wall right now, right in front of my face. Like I love me a good Jacob, but this is my favorite one. And it deserves to be up on the wall. And it's going to be. It's not because I'm just like, you know, that I've forgotten about it. I've been looking for a frame for this. I just haven't found one that I liked yet, and that was the right size. I might have to actually order something custom for this, but that's fine. So look for that in the very near future. Maybe even before I even post this video, if I can get something by then. We'll see. But if not, very quickly, my last thing to frame, my last thing to hang. Let's get it done.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it right now, aren't you? No, you're not. But you're thinking, that's not your last thing to frame. What about Deck the Halls? Remember when you stitched Deck the Halls? You didn't frame that, did you? Yes, I did. I forgot to tell you. I framed Deck the Halls, and I gave it to my mom for Christmas. I just figured, you know, better to have it up with all of her Christmas decorations than to be rolled up in the closet, right? It looks pretty good. I'll show you.
Deck the halls with boughs of Darcy, fa la 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 la. This is what it looked like last time, fa la 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 la. Look at all this great progress, fa la 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 la. Darcy's cell game is flawless, fa la 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 la.
Not bad, I'd say. I think I did a pretty good job.
That's right. That's right.
What else we got? One other thing. I got a question about how do you know where to put your first stitch in when you're starting a new thing? So I figured I could answer that pretty quick, right? Is that even worth a song? Probably not. Let's sing one anyway. Where do you put your first stitch in when you're stitching a new thing? Okay, real quick, I'm going to show you two different methods with my example piece of green fabric here. If it's something small and reasonably sized, I still work middle out. You've got the two little arrow things that like show you where the middle of the chart is, and start in the middle and work your way out. So all you have to do is just stare at my face while I do the thing that you want to see and don't actually show you. Hang on a second. Just fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. There you go. And then when you unfold it, you'll see these like this T thing here, and right there-ish, that's the middle. Just start there. It doesn't have to be exact. None of this has to be exact. If you leave a little space on the edges, you're not going right to the edge, and don't go right to the edge. That's lunacy. So somewhere around there, if you want to start in the middle. If it's something bigger, like a Heaven and Earth design or a great big full coverage, do something a little bit different. Hang on. Okay, so if I've got a bigger thing, like a Heaven and Earth or a really big full coverage, it's also pretty easy. I start in the top left corner on the first page of the chart. And so how do you know where that's going to be? Well, I always leave, let's whatever your number is, but I'd say 3 inches of extra space on every single side. So it's pretty simple. Hang on. I only have 2 hands. All right, so we'll measure about 3 inches in this way, and then I'm going to mark it with a needle. All right, so again, this doesn't have to be exact, especially if you're leaving like 3 or 4 inches of extra space. So, but like, let's say about 3 inches in this way, and then close enough. And then I just mark it with a needle so I know where to, so somewhere, let's pretend we've got 3 hands, and like right there, that's 3 inches this way. And then I do the same thing down this way from where the needle is, right there. I'll stick another needle in there, or maybe even the same needle if I could reach it. Right there. Okay, so now we're 3 inches of extra space this way, 3 inches of extra space this way, and I'll usually like leave the needle sticking in there, like kind of like that, until I've got it all like Q-snapped or get your hoop on or whatever. Right there in that general area is where the first stitch is going to go. And again, it doesn't have to be exact when you've got this much extra space. If you think your fabric is going to fray 3 to 4 inches over time, you've got a bigger problem. You better buy one of my fabrics instead, because it's not going to do that. So I think that does it for today. I also just want to say thank you to all the people that have like been supporting my shop and buying my fabrics again. I thought like after Christmas, this little January period after Christmas was going to be pretty slow, and so far it hasn't. It's been really hard to keep up. So thank you to everybody that's been doing that. I'm trying to expand. I'm trying to have different options, different sizes, different prices, different everything. It's time to grow this. It's time to grow this shit, don't you think? I'm this close. I'm this close to reaching 1,000 sales on Etsy, which is a big number for me. There's something about 1,000 that like makes it seem like you're like going from little league to big league, don't you think?
No more shines, Billy.
What?
I said no more shines. Maybe you didn't hear about it. You've been away a long time. They didn't go up there and tell you. I don't shine shoes anymore.
You can actually see that number 1,000. If it's not there by the time I post this video, it's very, very, very close. So like, thank you. I'm not saying that to like, you know, oh, okay, I am. I love a good ego boost, but like, it's more of a thank you. Thank you for all the support. And it's been like, it's not easy. Even if you like stuff and you like a person, like to take that extra step to open up your wallets and like actually like buy a thing. It's a real grind. It's a lot to ask of a person. And like, you've been doing it for me, which makes me feel good. Not only that, you're just like, at first it just felt like pity. We'll support him. Like, poor little guy thinks he knows what he's doing. But like at a certain point, if it's not good, people aren't going to keep buying it, but people do keep buying it. So does that mean I'm good at what I do? I guess.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Motherfucking mutt! You fucking piece of shit!
Hello again, stitchy friends. I figured I'd get on here maybe just one last time because I'm inching toward half an hour already, so it might be time to just film this one last little piece and then post a new video already. Weird, right? I mean, I could just keep going and going, but who's gonna stick around for more than 30 or 40 minutes? I wouldn't. True to my word, over the last few days, I have stitched only Trapeze Girl. Now, I haven't gotten very far. It doesn't really look all that different than it looked before. But I haven't stitched anything but this in the last 3 or 4 days or however long it's been. And I know you're like, a lot of you are out there always like, oh my God, you're such a fast stitcher. And now I'm just like, look, I put in like 4 stitches. Hey, I've been busy. I've been spending most of my free time dyeing fabric and preparing stuff for future upcoming things, you know, so I don't have to do it all at once. I'm doing it now. It's been very, very busy. I'm only one person. Why are you ridiculing me? Look at this. Look at this gorgeous red that I have now. Look at this. Don't you just love this? Here it is in all its finished glory here. What? Oh, don't you just love it? I love it. This is my new favorite thing. Everything I do is my new favorite thing. I've done a red before in the past, but I just did it like red, solid red. But I like it a lot better with these dark splashes on it. I'm going to use this for something. This might actually be what I use for the Jacob 2025 sal, which I need to get started soon. I was going to do it just on plain red, but I think I'm going to do it on this instead. So, isn't this a lot more fun than your plain old beige and gray? I hope so. I only did 3. I've only done 3 so far as a little test run to see if you like them. So there's 3 available in my shop, or at least, you know, there was. Maybe somebody bought one. I don't know. just to see if you like them or not. If you don't, okay, I'll keep them. If you do, get them while the getting's good, because we're doing a 3 fabric test run to see if anybody buys it or if I'm going to keep it for myself. But look at that. I love it. Also, another great opportunity for me to show off my deep movie knowledge. Throne of Blood. Is that your favorite movie? It's one of my favorites. Look it up. It's a classic.
やがては蜘蛛の巣城のご城主様。
答えな！誰事もほどほどにせい！
あなたのお子様はやがて蜘蛛の巣城のご城主様。
Okay, the main point that I want to get to right now, I want to frame this little guy, and I kind of have him ready to be framed. And I thought, well, what a perfect opportunity for me to teach you guys how to frame a little thing, don't you think? Now, there's a disclaimer to go along with that. I think maybe teach is the wrong word because I don't, as will become clear as I'm doing this, I don't really know what I'm doing. And in some ways I do know the proper way to do things, and I purposely don't do them that way. So this isn't really necessarily like, you know, take everything I'm saying as like, with a grain of salt. It's just it's not really I'm not going to show you the proper way to do stuff. It's going to be a little bit ridiculous. But if you want to just do something quick and easy and get it to look pretty good in a frame rather than just like having it sit in your drawer and going like, I don't know when I'm ever going to get somebody to frame that for me. It works, and it's quick and easy, and it's kind of silly, but if that's for you, then this is going to be for you. Let's get right into it. Okay, how's this? Is this working for anybody? This is about as good as I can do with my setup. I don't know how you guys have your camera set up when you're filming over your shoulder and looking down and still using both of your hands, but I haven't quite mastered that yet, so I hope this is okay. Okay, so I've got just a cheap little 5x7 frame that I'm going to pop this in here. I'm gonna stretch it onto this. This is also not really ideal, but it's like, you know, it's good enough. If you want to do something a little bit more professional, you got something a little bigger, a little nicer, you might want to use something else. This is just to, you know, basically a glorified piece of construction paper, cardstock. It's good enough. It'll work for this. So I already cut it down to size so it'll fit inside the frame when the thing's all on it. You can figure that out. You don't need to see me do that. Okay, so I'm gonna want to have this on top of this and sort of like, you know, secured onto here in a nice way. How am I going to do that and get it like centered properly when like the front is this way but the little piece of board is this way? How am I going to do that? Well, I'll show you what I do. And I know that now this is another thing that I'm going to like, if you want to Google some real or YouTube some real tutorials, they'll show you better ways to do what I'm about to do. This is just, and I know what some of those ways are. This is just, this is what makes sense to my brain. So this is the way that I do it. It's going to seem a little bit unnecessarily complicated, but it makes sense to me. So here we go. So how am I going to know how this, where to center this so that it's centered in the frame? Because it's not always going to be centered right in the center of your fabric. Sometimes it is, and that might make it a little bit easier, but like what if it was pushed to the side or something, but I still wanted this in the center? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So here's what I do. I've got it flipped face down, and I'm going to put this here in a way that, what am I trying to say? I already don't know. So that I can see like where the very bottom of the stitches are and where the very top of the stitches are. And then I measure the distance of like extra board space and make sure that it's equal on both sides. Does that make sense? So there's going to be about 1 inch of extra space on the board here, but still that's not very helpful, because how do I know where I'm going to actually put it when I center it on my fabric? Well, this is the unnecessarily complicated part. Now that I know that it's going to be 1 inch here and 1 inch here, then I measure the fabric space, the extra fabric space on the bottom here and on the top here. Are we seeing this? Probably not. So now I know that if this board is going to be centered in the middle of the design, top to bottom anyway, that there's going to be 1.25 inches of extra fabric space right here and 1 inch of extra fabric space here. So now I can put this wherever I want, and I know that that's going to be right. So now I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the same thing on the side. Make sure that there's the same amount of board space on each side, and then I'm going to measure the actual extra fabric space. Does that make sense at all? It makes sense when I do it. So it's about this. So it's about the same thing, an extra inch, and then when you measure the fabric, see, giving you the finger. So extra fabric space on this side and this side this is actually a pretty centered thing. It doesn't always work out this way, but it's going to be just a little under 2 inches and a little under 2 inches of extra fabric space. So now that I have, you can write that down if you don't think you're going to remember all those measurements. But now that I have those numbers don't lie. So I don't have to fuss over it anymore, because all I have to do is just make sure that all the numbers match on every side when I put this on here. Can you see that? So the extra space here, the extra space here, all the way around. That's what I measured before. That's where it is right now. I'm going to trust that it's centered, because numbers have never steered me wrong. Well, that's probably not true, but you know. So now this is the part where it gets a little bit amateurish, because you're going to find people who know what they're doing are going to tell you to use pins, or there's this method called the lacing method that looks like it works really well. How do you get this to stay in place, and how do you get it to, like, you know, stretch? There are better ways to do it than what I'm about to do. But I've used pins before, and I don't like pins. Most especially because if you start sticking pins in and then you realize that it's just a little bit off and you have to readjust it, what a nightmare trying to readjust it once the pins are already in there. No pins for me. I don't like pins. You could use like a clip or something to hold this in place, but for something like small like this, that's like, you know, it's not going to be on display in any museums or anything like that. I'm just going I'm going to take a little bit of masking tape. Don't make fun. And I'm going to fold one of these sides over. Hold it, like make sure it's not moving. I'm going to fold that over as tight as I can. I'm just going to stick this here just to sort of like hold it in place. Look at that. Doesn't that look professional? So careful not to like still move the board around, even though it's like it's taped here, but it's not, you know, it's still delicate. But do the same thing on every side. Just keep folding it over, or however you want to like hide it so it's not sticking out on the sides like that. And I'm gonna pull it as tight as I can, but I'm just gonna tape it with masking tape. Part of the reason I do this is because this actually does hold it in place pretty well, and I'm gonna put another layer of tape on top of that after I like am happy with it. But this is also very easy to readjust if you mess it up, because I've had to readjust with pins before and had to take all those pins out and redo it, and it's a nightmare. And this is not that big of a deal. Just rip some tape off and try it again. So that's part of the reason I do it. It's easy to mess with. And you know, I know this looks a little messy and ridiculous, but once it's inside a frame, who cares what the back looks like? Is anybody going to unframe your stitchings and examine your back to see what you did to get it to look like that? I don't think so. So I'm pulling it tight. I'm pulling it as tight as I can. I'm trying to keep it as straight as I can without moving the board, and I'm pulling it as tight as I can before I put this tape on here. Okay, first pass is done. I've masking taped every single side. So let's flip it over and see if it looks centered, if it looks, you know, does it kind of look the way you wanted? It's not all wrinkly. It looks pretty centered. It's nice and secure. We can play frisbee with it. You know what I'm saying? You can actually, believe it or not, I know you might be thinking, well, okay, that might be well and good for like a small project like that, but what about the bigger ones? You can scale this up and do this same way for bigger things. I've done some and framed some bigger sized stitchings that I've done in much with the exact same way that I just did this, and you've all complimented me on them, how good they look. So now that I feel like I'm happy enough with this, I'm actually probably going to like pop it in the frame just to make sure it fits, because when you fold it over, you know, the extra sides of the fabric can bulk it out. Like if you cut, this was something I probably should have mentioned right at the very beginning, but if you cut this piece of board like the exact size that you need to just fit in the frame, the little bit of extra fabric that you're going to have on the sides is going to make it tough to squeeze in there. So you might want to cut it just a tiny bit less than that so that it still fits nicely when you've got it wrapped around like this. But anyway, if we're happy with it and we think that it looks all right, then I am going to do one more thing. Get ready to make fun of me one more time. So I don't really, the masking tape part, or whatever kind of tape you have that like can just hold it in place while you're pulling and stretching it. It's good to get it to this point, but I don't trust it to stay like that forever. So I'm going to put something a little bit sturdier on there just to hold it in place a little bit better. Like, you know, some thicker tape or whatever you have that's a little bit better than just that, or like a few more layers of that or something, just, you know, for peace of mind. There you go. See that? That ain't going nowhere. It's perfect. It's perfectly professional. Now, let's get it in the frame. Put my little piece of glass back in here. I'm going to put this guy face down in here. This little insert thingy that came with it, I'm going to put that back in there just to, you know, sort of push it down and hold it in place. Stick my back on here, like so. Y'all ready for this? If you didn't know any better, if I didn't just show you how I did that, you might actually think that was somewhat professional. Damn it, now you know that it's not. There we have it. Our finished framed smiley face. Professional. Huh? If you didn't know any better, you might actually think so. And normally this is one of the reasons why I don't like to show methods of like, you know, how I reach an endpoint, because sometimes it's kind of ridiculous, but who cares? It works. And now, like, you could do that. Anybody can do that. If I can do that, anybody can do that. And it does work on bigger, you know, you might want to just like, if you've got something bigger and that you can't just hold steady with your hand, you might want some like, you know, little clips or something. Hang on a second. Even just something like this, little like bloop, 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 a bunch of these around the sides just to sort of hold it in place while you're messing with it. I've used these before to hold things in place. It's fine. You don't have to stress about it, man. You know, bruh, whatever. we don't have to stress. We can do things in the cheapest, silliest way possible, and they still look fantastic. So anyway, as I think I was saying, that's why I don't like to show methods of things sometimes, because sometimes it's kind of ridiculous. I just like to show you the end and let you think that I know what I'm doing. But I'm not making a career out of framing or anything like that. And I sort of like, after a whole bunch of trial and error, I found a way that works pretty quickly and pretty easily for me to get my stuff out of a drawer and onto a shelf or onto the wall. So I'm happy to share my knowledge with you. If you want something a little bit better, or something that works better for you, or something that like is a little bit more professional, there's lots of other tutorials out there that are a little bit better than this one. But something quick and easy that like it's not wrinkly, it's centered, it's fine. And look how easy that was. We did that together in about 8 minutes, didn't we? So I think that's probably going to get me about a 40-minute video. And that's more than enough, isn't it? That's 4 times more than we need. So I think I'll edit this, post it, keep on stitching. I'm going to stitch Trapeze Girl for a little bit more while. I'm going to keep on dyeing fabric. I'm going to keep on pumping my shop full of stuff, and you're going to keep on buying it, right?
That's right. That's right.
Ah, shit. How do we get out of this?
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Motherfucking mutt! You fucking piece of shit!